Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're going into a really significant, but maybe less talked about moment in Nigerian history.
That's right. The Asaba Massacre of 1967.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a documentary script here that we're going to use to sort of guide our deep dive to really understand what went down.
And I think this is important because looking at events like Asaba, it gives you such a raw, unfiltered view of conflict.
Absolutely. And the scars it leaves,
Definitely. On people and communities, on the whole country.
So let's set the scene a bit. It's July 1967. Nigeria's plunged into civil war.
Biafra, the southeastern region, had declared independence, led by LT Colonel Ojukwu.
Right. And the federal government, under General Gowon, was absolutely determined to prevent the split.
And it's crucial to remember, like the script points out, this wasn't just sudden. This conflict had deep roots.
Decades, really.
Yeah, decades of ethnic tensions, political rivalries, real grievances, especially the Igbo people feeling marginalized.
Which is why Biafra seceded in the first place, created this incredibly tense situation.
Exactly. Very volatile.
Okay, so fast forward a few months. We're now in October 1967. The war is raging.
Fiercely. And Nigerian federal troops are making gains. They've recaptured the Midwest region.
Which had been under Biafran control initially.
Correct. And now they're approaching a town called Asaba.
And Asaba's location is key here, isn't it?
Absolutely critical. It's right there on the western bank of the Niger River.
And the population.
Predominantly Igbo, which, well, you can imagine put them in a really difficult, precarious position.
Because the advancing federal troops suspected anyone Igbo of potentially sympathizing with Biafra.
That's the context, yes. Deep suspicion in the midst of a brutal war. You have to picture the mindset.
So here's where the story takes, well, a really tragic turn. Despite this obvious danger, the people of Asaba decided to seek peace.
It's quite remarkable, really. They decided to make a gesture.
They knew people thought they might be Biafran sympathizers, right?
The script suggests they were aware of those suspicions, yes. And they wanted to counter that. They hoped, maybe desperately, that showing neutrality could save them.
It's this element of, I don't know, faith, maybe innocence, as the script calls it.
Yeah, innocence or perhaps a calculated risk born of desperation. They put a lot on this one gesture.
So October 7th, 1967, what did they do?
They organized a demonstration, a peaceful one.
They wore white clothes, universal symbol of peace.
Exactly. And they marched through the town singing songs, peace songs.
The intention seems so clear. We're not a threat. We want peace.
An act of innocence, as the script terms it. You can just picture the vulnerability, can't you?
Totally. Relying on clothes and songs to appease an advancing army in a civil war.
It speaks volumes about their hope, their longing for safety.
But that hope, it just wasn't met.
No, tragically not. The documentary script then details the arrival of the Nigerian soldiers.
Under Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Muhammad.
Yes. And despite the white clothes, despite the singing, the welcome, the soldiers arrived hostile, suspicious.
Already seeing enemies, not neighbors.
Precisely. And this is the moment everything shifts.
Yeah.
It sets the stage for the horror to come.
It's that stark contrast, isn't it? The peaceful intention versus the immediate military suspicion.
It really is. It shows how easily, in war, perception trumps reality. How easily peace gestures can be ignored or misinterpreted.
You have to wonder, what orders were they under? What information did they have?
That's the crucial question the script implicitly raises. What shaped that immediate hostility?
Okay, so let's talk about what happened next, because this is the core of the tragedy.
It is. The script describes the soldiers rounding everyone up. Men, women, children.
In the town square.
Yes. And the accusation thrown at them was that they were hiding Biafran rebels, harboring the enemy.
And then separation.
The men and older boys were separated from the women and younger children.
Which is just chilling. You hear that and you know something terrible is about to happen.
It's a terrifyingly common tactic in mass violence, unfortunately. Isolates the targets, prevents resistance. A very grim historical pattern.
So what did the script say happened to men and boys?
It lays it out brutally. They were marched from the square to an open field.
And then?
Executed. Shot in cold blood. Hundreds of them.
Hundreds. The numbers are staggering. The script estimates between 700 and 1,000 people.
Somewhere in that range, yes. Killed within a few hours.
Just like that. And the most horrific part.
Their families were made to watch.
Unimaginable. That extra layer of cruelty.
It's beyond comprehension. The sheer scale, the speed, the utter lack of any process. It's undeniably a massacre.
And forcing families to witness, that's designed to terrorize, isn't it? To break their spirit completely.
Absolutely. Not just ending lives, but shattering the survivors psychologically. It's something that, well, stays with you.
It's the aftermath. I mean, what do you even do?
The script talks about just devastation, hasty mass graves dug by the survivors.
Trying to find some dignity in the horror.
Exactly. But mostly just overwhelming grief. Families destroyed, a community broken.
And this wasn't just contained to Asaba, was it? The impact rippled outwards.
Oh, definitely. It deepened the divisions in the country, added another layer of trauma to an already brutal war.
So, looking at the bigger picture, how does the script frame this? Was it just random violence?
Not according to the script. It suggests it was part of a broader strategy, an attempt to suppress the Igbo spirit, you could say.
Within the context of the military campaign to crush Biafra.
Precisely. The federal government's determination to keep Nigeria united, but using incredibly brutal methods to achieve it.
And Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Muhammad's role is highlighted.
Yes, the script points to his command during that Midwest campaign, implying direct responsibility for the orders giving in Asaba.
And the motivation, military necessity mixed with deep mistrust.
That seems to be the implication. A belief, however unfounded, that Asaba posed a threat or was actively supporting Biafra. In the fog of war, lines get blurred, commands get given.
But then you have the different narratives, right?
Crucially, yes. The official side often spoke of military necessity, alleging the town harbored insurgents. That justification.
But the survivors.
Their accounts, captured in the script and elsewhere, tell a completely different story. One of betrayal, loss, injustice.
Their peaceful welcome met with gunfire.
Exactly. And there's that powerful quote the script includes from a survivor.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Can you share it?
It goes something like, "We thought that by wearing white, by singing songs of peace, we could show them we were not a threat. But they didn't see us as human beings. They saw enemies."
Wow, that just hits hard. The complete failure of their gesture, the dehumanization.
It perfectly captures that disconnect. How the Asaba people saw themselves versus how the military perceived them, filtered through suspicion.
It really makes you think about how narratives get built in wartime.
And the devastating real-world consequences those narratives can have, how easily the other is created.
So the legacy of Asaba today, it's not forgotten, obviously.
Not by those who lived through it, or their descendants, or those who study Nigerian history. The script emphasizes it's a deep wound.
On the nation's collective memory, too.
Yes. A stark reminder of the atrocities war enables, the consequences when human life is just disregarded.
Has Asaba rebuilt? What's it like now?
The script mentions that, yes, life has continued, the town is rebuilt physically, but the memory persists.
Are there memorials?
There are, and they serve as that tangible link to the past, reminders of the tragedy, warnings about unchecked power and division.
So they're not just about looking back, but looking forward, too.
That's the hope, isn't it? That remembering prevents repetition.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive, using the documentary script, it's shown us a story of incredible cruelty.
But also, in a way, the strength to endure. The community survived, even after being shattered.
It forces us, I think, to confront these really painful parts of history.
And to ask what nationhood really means if parts of the nation can be treated like that. How do you build unity after such trauma?
It's a powerful example, Asaba, of how fragile peace is. How devastating violence can be.
It really is. And reflecting on October 1967 forces us to ask those hard questions, doesn't it?
Like, how do we stop this from happening again? Anywhere.
Exactly. How do societies make sure this kind of darkness doesn't take hold? And maybe more pointedly, how do we ensure that when people make a gesture of peace, like the people of Asaba did,
it's actually seen and respected?
Right. How does peace become real, tangible for everyone? Not just an idea, but a lived reality where a white cloth and a song are met with understanding, not suspicion.
That's definitely something for us all to think about long after this deep dive ends.
A profoundly important question, I think.